congratulations on the show. I didn't
Thank
get
you.
to see episodes, but I saw the trailer. It looks so fun with, mixing all of these stories in this house. And, it just looks like you get to play, dress up back from the 60s. How fun is that?
It's so fun.
It's so fun that I've been worried, like, how can the product be as good as the experience we're having? Like, in general, you can't have both.
Right.
But then we saw the trailer, and I
Yeah.
just watched the trailer, like, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
too?
a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a great trailer.
Well, you look so diabolical in it.
Oh,
You've got
good.
so many good things in
And
it.
I'm not even the diabolical one.
No, she's not.
Playing that role, what's it like getting into character like that? Because, you clearly have a good role, a meaty role.
Oh, my gosh. No one writes like this except for Marc Cherry, which is why I'm going to use this opportunity to ask Marc Cherry to hire me for everything ever. All of the women, all of the characters are so well written. Everything, I don't even know another well written is the theme of the day. It's just everything is so complicated. And while being relatable, I feel like we are living in this highly stylized world.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the first several episodes, we discussed a lot our brains hurting, which is the greatest compliment I can pay, which is like, you're making my brain, like I'm having trouble. Yes, it's like, there's so many layers of emotions and groundedness that we are to achieve, like in this like very heightened Marc Cherry world, where the comedy is so mathematical and precise, but the tears all have to be genuine. And it was making my brain hurt for the first several episodes, and now I feel like we're more on a roll.
Yeah.
And now,
once we figured it out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing about these anthology series is you have to jump in and commit to the characters, the story, the dialogue right off the bat, because you're trying to set the tone for 10 episodes, and it's got to be as good in episode 1 as it is in episode 10. And thankfully, when you have Marc Cherry writing, it makes it so much easier.
Yes.
And he has such a specific vision for it that we have just totally jumped on board, and it's so refreshing to be with somebody who is that meticulous about the story and also about his sense of comedy and timing. There's a reason the guy was writing all the way back on Golden Girls.
Yes.
He's just has this knack for understanding comedic beats and yet instilling the dramatic with humor and the humorous moments with this sort of dark
devastation.
Dark devastation, that's right.
Let's back up for a second for our viewers.
Yeah.
Tell me about your specific relationship in this series. You play a husband and wife that are...
Yes, we play Beth Ann and Robert Stanton, who live in a house in Pasadena. The house will be reused in the various eras of our story with various casts, sort of a la If These Walls Could Talk or American Horror Story or something. And our characters are, on the surface, I feel like the perfect early 1960s couple. But really, we're just masking a hell of a lot of pain and damage.
Yeah, it's that era too. There was a lot of things go unspoken, and what's fascinating about that storyline is that they're just awakening as our society was awakening to the disparity between the sexes and the expectations put on women at that time, and it just kind of comes unfurled in our story.
I think there's something about us being in a new house that gave us the perfect setting to... Our characters have moved there to redefine ourselves, which you'll find out why over the course of the series. But we've moved there to redefine ourselves, and so as we're having that opportunity, we're realizing that things must change.
And they do.
What drew you to the show? Was it Marc Cherry?
100%.
Yeah.
Any part of your character that you relate to specifically?
God, I hope not.
I say the same thing. But
No,
I
I love Beth Ann.
Yeah, Beth Ann's wonderful.
No, I love Beth Ann. I will mourn the loss when this show wraps because it's been so fulfilling, and I feel like almost when I'm acting, I'm like doing things on behalf of her, like defending her honor, trying to win things for her. almost like in a third person sense, because I adore her. But I mean, I would say, like, on the surface, like, I was raised in the proper South, and like there are certain boundaries and expectations that were put on me as a young woman in the area that I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, that I feel like I've been able to apply to Beth Ann. Absolutely. But I don't think we don't think or operate the same way at all.
Yeah.
I like wearing dresses. She likes wearing dresses. It's only surface level, things that I can relate to. What about you?
Oh, I hope there's nothing that I can relate to Rob. You know, Rob is very similar to my grandfather, that kind of the end of an era where, you know, quote unquote, men knew their place and women knew their place, and I don't think he's very clueless about how privileged and entitled and chauvinistic he is, and throughout our series that becomes more and more a problem, and we see more and more of the ways that he's kind of manipulated their lives to his benefit. So
when we see in the trailer, you seem like the bad guy. You seem like you're privileged.
yeah,
Are we gonna see other layers to that?
there's a lot of layers. And you know again, because it's Marc Cherry, it's there's so much more than what we see in the trailers. You know, that they're on the surface. In the first episode, we get that this couple is that there's definitely a hierarchy. You know, and you would think that the road we're going to go down in this series just makes, you know, Rob just an awful guy, and it gets worse and worse and worse throughout the series. And that's not necessarily true, although it is ultimately
But
true.
no, okay, but here's the thing. I think, and we end up like simplifying things for sound bites. But I will say that I feel like one of the things I love most about the show is I think it gives you, I might have already said this, a false sense of security. I think that we take you down this very funny and very gut-wrenching path. And as dark as it may be, we will drop you on your butts at a point. And I think one of the ways that we do that is by desensitizing the audience, I think, to certain things. So I think that as time goes on, for instance, the audience, like Beth Ann, will be forgiving Rob, because there are so many things that are so likable about Rob, and you can understand his point of view. The things that he's doing seem so justifiable. And it's sort of like reading Lolita or something, and at the end being like, I can't believe Nabokov was making me root for this guy. But that's kind of what I feel like Marc's able to do with some of these characters. And I think that at a point, we'll be rooting for you as an audience member. Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, what's the fun in it?
Yeah,
and I think, again, that's what Marc Cherry does. He knows that this is the obvious antagonist of the show, although society is also an antagonist itself. But
Which is kind of what this is saying, too.
Yeah. But isn't it so much more charming? Don't we remember the antagonists that have a wink to, you know, to the brighter side, or, you know, that are not solely one thing?
Right.
You know, we always feel like the bad guys are handed to us in movies, and Rob is a very complex character, and so we root for him and their relationship, and yet he continually does things that are
He's a continual disappointment.
horrible.
Yeah.
You said this will wrap 10 episodes. Is there any chance your characters will go on, or does the story completely wrap?
To be determined.
Yes.
And how many episodes have you shot so far?
8.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it ends.
Oh, yes.
We can say that our storyline ends in 10.
Well, right. The story itself.
The story itself.
It doesn't mean that there can't be other versions, other incarnations.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have a definitive ending.
Yeah. And
all of these stories do.
Yeah. And again, it's if you're not in by episode 2, then it's clearly not for you. Or you know.
This is the only show I've ever not let my husband read the scripts. I don't tell him anything about it. He asks me what I've done at work, my real life husband. He asks me what I've done at work, and I'm like, I can't tell you. It's because I went in to meet with Marc Cherry in February of this past February, And he laid out for me every single scene that my character would be in. He walked me through my entire storyline, scene by scene, for 10 episodes. And at the end, I said, I'll take it. And I went home, and my husband said, how did it go? And I was like, you have to watch it. That's all I'm going to say. Like, you have to watch it. I will tell you nothing for the next 5 months.
Yeah, same.
Want more extra? Hit the subscribe button and the bell and never miss a video.